From the dawn of civilization, when oracles guided rulers and shamans held the mysteries of existence, the bond between humanity and nature, especially through plants like cannabis, has been regarded as sacred. This connection goes beyond mere recreation or a fleeting escape. It's deeply intertwined with spiritual growth and self-discovery. In this exploration, we'll uncover how marijuana serves as a gateway to spiritual insight, revealing not only joy and connection, but also guiding us through the shadowy depths of our own psyche. Join us as we unravel the profound spiritual implications of smoking marijuana and its potential to unlock deeper truths about ourselves. Today, we delve into a question often overlooked. What are the spiritual implications of smoking marijuana? We're not consulting government mandates, scientific proclamations, or the glamorized depictions found in pop culture. Instead, we will search ancient traditions, sift through sacred texts, and listen to the voices of mystics who ventured beyond the haze. Prepare to embark on a journey that bridges continents and epochs, drawing from the wisdom of ancient India to the mysteries of Egyptian Hermeticism, touching on Rastafarian ceremonies and the prophetic insights of Ethiopian sages, not for judgment but for revelation. Cannabis, now too often dismissed, demonized, or romanticized, has, throughout history, been regarded as a sacred key. A key not meant for display, but for unlocking hidden doors. But which doors does it open? In ancient India, sacred texts referred to cannabis as one of the 5 holy plants of the earth, seen as a divine gift, and the bearer of Amrita, the nectar of eternal life. Its intimate connection with Shiva, the force of destruction and renewal, is no mere coincidence. Shiva, the cosmic dancer, is the one who dissolves illusion. His followers, the sadhus, would partake in cannabis using clay chillums during profound meditative states, but always within a ritual framework: fasting, chanting, solitude. They sought not intoxication, but liberation from the ego, transcending physical identification. In the East, Taoist masters viewed cannabis as a companion in the pursuit of longevity and expanded awareness. Ancient texts from the alchemist Ge describe how this plant, when paired with ginseng and other herbs, would awaken lucid dreams and broaden the mind. In Taoist belief, every substance pulsates with life energy, or qi. When cannabis is aligned with the body's energy, it enhances that flow. However, in the hands of an imbalanced individual, it generates chaos. It amplifies experiences, and like any amplifier, it can become perilous if the instrument is out of tune. Moving into the realm of Sufism within the Arab-Muslim culture, select sects embraced cannabis, particularly hashish, in their spiritual practices. For the Sufis, the paramount goal was ego dissolution, a complete obliteration of the self in communion with the divine. Many narratives recount visions and ecstatic unions with the beloved. Yet, even among revered Sufi figures, debates arose. The illustrious poet Rumi cautioned, "Why seek the divine through intoxication when he already dances sober within you?" The plant was treated with respect and moderation. When it transformed from a passageway to a dependency, it was set aside. In the mysticism of Kabbalah, direct references to cannabis are scarce, possibly due to cultural hesitation. However, wisdom resonates throughout. The Zohar warns that those who storm the gates of light without preparation may be consumed by their own ignorance. Today, this translates to the understanding that without spiritual readiness, any sacred substance can ensnare the ego. Archaeological insights from Gnosticism and the Essenes suggest the incorporation of cannabis oil and herbs in anointing rituals and temple incense. Some scholars postulate that cane basm, mentioned in the biblical texts, was indeed cannabis. But, like before, this was no act of recreation. It was ceremonial, a ritualistic approach to heightened states of awareness. Without sacred intention, the plant becomes mundane. In Africa and the Americas, indigenous shamanic practices, born from the Congo to the Amazon, hold cannabis in high regard, much like ayahuasca, tobacco, or peyote. It is not the plant alone that heals, it is the spirit embodied by the plant, which only manifests through respect and reverence. In Candomblé, Umbanda, and other Afro-American traditions, even when cannabis isn't central, the principle of Axe, universal spiritual energy, still applies. Each plant carries its unique Axe, vibration, and purpose. Using a plant without understanding its Axe is akin to playing a sacred drum without knowing the spirit it calls upon. Even within the Rastafari community, where cannabis, known as ganja, is viewed as a wisdom herb, its use is surrounded by ritual. It is smoked during reasoning sessions, in spiritual reflections, in gatherings of song and prayer. This herb is a holy sacrament, not just a casual pastime. Across all these cultures, a common thread emerges. Cannabis holds potential, and potential is inherently neutral. It can serve as a ladder or a pitfall, a tool or a hindrance, a portal or a prison. What shapes its essence is not the plant itself, but the user, the consciousness, the intention, the preparation. As the Corpus Hermeticum conveys, spirit does not respond to those who approach the door muddled in themselves, and those who seek shortcuts may find that they've only circled back to where they began. Ultimately, the pivotal question may not be, is cannabis sacred, but rather, are you sacred enough to use it? Every plant that opens gateways also reveals mirrors, and mirrors, contrary to our desires, may not always reflect beauty. Rather, they often expose what we have shunned for lifetimes. Cannabis, like various entheogenic substances, possesses the rare ability to dissolve facades. However, not every spirit is prepared to confront its own raw, unmasked reality. This is where the true spiritual effects of the plant surface, not in immediate euphoria, but in the unavoidable confrontation with the self. Carl Jung, a pioneer of analytical psychology, coined the term shadow to discuss the sum of our repressed aspects, not inherently evil, but everything the ego chooses to overlook: fears, trauma, repressed desires, ancestral pain. In his writings, Jung identified that confronting the shadow is the pathway to wholeness. Isn't it interesting how so many individuals, after smoking marijuana, encounter feelings of anxiety, paranoia, or vulnerability? The plant does not create these emotions, it merely strips away the layers, revealing what has always been present. For certain occult traditions, this revelation is unsurprising. In Psychic Self-Defense, Dion Fortune illustrates how altered states induced by either rituals, drugs, or trauma can weaken a person's energetic barrier, exposing them to external influences. She cautions that when consciousness wavers, entities from lower realms may draw close, leeching off the emotional voids laid bare. This isn't mere superstition, it's a profound understanding of psychodynamics. When the conscious mind recedes, be it through dreams, meditation, or cannabis, the unconscious awakens. If that unconscious is filled with unresolved issues, they will manifest. What we label a bad trip is often the spirit's attempt to clear out the clutter. In the Raja Yoga tradition, particularly in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, these insights are articulated clearly. Patanjali notes that supernatural abilities, siddhis, may emerge spontaneously through the use of herbs, but cautions that such powers are mere illusions if not rooted in discernment and ethical practice. More importantly, he warns that these siddhis can become hindrances to attaining true enlightenment as they cater to the spiritual ego, a subtle trap often harder to detect than the regular ego. Osho, in his discussions on substances and spirituality, illuminated that such materials open portals best left to silence. Yes, they are shortcuts, but unstable ones. Often, those who venture through these portals, sane as a guide, return through the same entrance, now adrift in uncertainty. On an energetic level, cannabis interacts directly with the subtle body. Many practitioners of Reiki, Kundalini Yoga, and ceremonial magic have reported increased sensitivity in their energy fields after its use. This can produce beneficial effects if the individual is grounded. However, an ungrounded person may become a lighthouse without a captain, radiating light that draws not only the curious, but also potential energetic predators. Some Amazonian shamans say, "Every plant that opens is a test, and this test is not mystical. It hinges on morality. What will you do with what you perceive? Will you flee, contemplate, or take action?" Chronic users often describe a lingering sense of stagnation. Physical relaxation occurs, yet the spirit feels stuck. Creativity flows, but seldom culminates. Spirituality may feel profound, but seldom leads to transformation. This is what Kabbalists term klipot, energy layers formed by unassimilated experiences, accumulating like dust in the spiritual realm. They perpetuate the illusion of growth without genuine progression, and the primary danger is here, conflating mere feeling with evolution. Not all expansion signifies elevation. Growth without direction is merely inflation, and inflation inevitably leads to collapse. In this light, when cannabis is employed mindlessly or excessively, it transitions from sacred plant to one of stagnation, not due to its essence, but rather through disconnection. It does not inherently induce spiritual inertia. It can provide an optimal context for those already carrying inner wisdom. Some argue, if I feel calm, it's effective. Yet tranquility birthed through an external force feels like serenity in a sealed room, pleasant yet artificial. Genuine peace emerges even in tumult, rooted deep within one's existence. If cannabis grants you tranquility, reflect on whether it teaches you to cultivate that peace internally or simply offers a fleeting mirage. True encounters with the divine typically commence with an encounter with the shadow, and this encounter often isn't delightful. No dazzling visions, no soft filters. There are tears, shame, anger, and confusion. But if you remain present, breathing, and observant, something profound occurs. Not a psychedelic epiphany, but a gentle acceptance of reality. From this acceptance, new possibilities can bloom. In this realm, cannabis serves as a pool mirror. It shows you glimpses of the sky, but if you rush in without caution, all you may find is muddiness. The human journey is not a solitary endeavor. Our inner paths, though they may feel isolated, resonate within the collective web of existence. No spiritual practice, no power plant, no genuine enlightenment emerges in isolation. Everything that comes into our experience reverberates across culture, and the cultural landscapes we inhabit shape our self-perception. Cannabis exemplifies this beautifully, a plant grounded in mystique, now repurposed as a global phenomenon, a cultural icon, a central topic of political discourse, and a youthful symbol of rebellion. Yet, long before debates over its legality or the push for its demonization, it existed as a sacred element. Within the Rastafari system, for instance, ganja is not merely a substance, it's a covenant, a promise made with the divine. Emerging in Jamaica during the 1930s, the Rastafari movement arose as a response to colonial oppression, but also as a manifestation of spiritual awakening rooted in African heritage and biblical principles. For the Rastas, cannabis is deemed the healing of nations, as proclaimed in the Book of Revelation. Consuming it is a sacred act, a means to forge a deeper connection with Yah, the living embodiment of the divine. This act is suffused with reverence. During collective reasoning sessions where marijuana is shared among participants, While they engage in spirited introspection, the ritual takes on a sacred form. Silence, listening, sharing words, and smoke intertwine as one. Here, the community acts as the sacred structure, with the cannabis serving as the spirit's offering. Beyond the Rastafarians, many Bantu traditions in Africa also document the ritualistic use of cannabis within communal celebrations, rites of passage, and funerals. This sacred plant was never intended to be a means of evasion. It was a vehicle for experiencing presence. It invoked the ancestors, integrating rather than alienating. In pre-Columbian societies, although cannabis was not originally local, the practice of using psychoactive plants in collective rituals was common. The essence of these practices remains unchanged. Substances that open doors must be supported by cultural narratives, rituals, and collective wisdom. Absent that framework, the plant loses its sacredness, becoming nothing more than trivial stimulation. This has been the fate of cannabis in contemporary society, removed from its temple roots and relegated to the shelves of cultural conveniences. Once a means of divine connection, it has degenerated into a trendy meme, a product hastily marketed, and a catalyst for superficial rebellion. Yet, resistance flourishes within indigenous communities, standing firm against the spiritual exploitation of mainstream culture. Young seekers are rediscovering the significance of ritual, fasting, and collective song, while enlightened teachers amidst urban distractions are imparting the wisdom of prayerful smoking. What remains constant is the plant itself. What shifts is the context, the intention, and the collective symbolism that informs the experience. Ultimately, the fundamental lesson to glean is that spirituality isn't merely a personal encounter, but a collective resonance. It is less about solitary feelings and more about what we can co-create. True spirituality is not gauged by the sensations experienced under the influence. Rather, it is measured by what persists beyond those moments. An age-old African proverb says, "If you wish to go quickly, go alone, but if you wish to go far, go together. Bring the drum, bring the fire, bring the plant." Authentic spiritual development is evaluated not by fleeting altered states, but by the lasting elevated states we nourish. The pathway unfolds not by the lights perceived, but in actions taken to address the shadows those lights illuminate. Between brilliance and the fog of illusion lies a narrow path, a path named discernment. Cannabis, like all potent plants, bears no guarantees. It bears possibilities, possibilities that can uplift or bewilder, inspire or dull the senses. Here, every spiritual seeker stands at a crossroads. Will they explore consciousness or seek to evade it? Osho, often misinterpreted as a mere hedonist, expressed a nuanced truth. Anything can turn into meditation if approached with awareness, while anything can devolve into mere intoxication without it. The true challenge lies not with the plant, but with the mindfulness that accompanies it. When presence is absent, the path can morph into a dizzying carousel. This is why ancient tribes accompanied sacred plants with rituals, fasting, hymnody, and lengthy preparations, not stemming from superstition, but recognizing the necessity for energetic clarity. They understood that a portal is not a mere spectacle. It leads to transformation. Yet not every spirit is prepared to journey through that passage. Discernment, or kro, as referenced in Greek thought, or viveka in Vedanta philosophy, serves as the invisible tool that distinguishes reality from fleeting sensation. It becomes the perception of the third eye, not to wield power, but to serve as a navigating compass. In the sacred use of cannabis, absent that compass, what could be perceived as enlightenment might devolve into mere heightened sensitivity. What might seem like vision could be a mere echo of thought. What might feel like intuition may actually be cloaked desire. There exists a type of ecstasy that masquerades as brilliant clarity, surfacing insights, synchronicities, and interconnectedness. However, if these insights fail to reshape relationships with others, with the world, and within oneself, then they remain mere decorative fireworks. The true journey demands resilience. It seeks consistency, presence without the need for grandeur, silence devoid of disruption. And that's where cannabis, when untethered from a defined journey, can foster addiction far more profound than physical dependence. The yearning for spirituality devoid of the practice itself. It's easy to appear enlightened while high, but profound awakening occurs during mundane moments, in traffic, in the queue at the bank, or during difficult conversations. Real enlightenment isn't illustrated by what you witness with your eyes shut. Rather, it's reflected in how you navigate life with your eyes wide open. When discernment lags, cannabis can distort into a clouded mirror where the ego perceives itself as awakened, when all it has done is caught a fleeting dream in the embrace of sensations, a tranquil inertia that paralyzes more than it liberates. In traditional esotericism, a principle known as the false light of Hod describes a clear mind that's merely intoxicated by unprocessed stimuli, a superficial luster devoid of root. Cannabis, when applied without understanding, may unfortunately inflate that deceptive illusion, the mirage of progression, while the individual spirals within colorful circles. Therefore, utilizing this plant truly requires a clean inner landscape, a solid intention, a genuine stillness before engagement, and an even deeper silence afterwards. It calls for guidance, tradition, humility, and above all else, readiness for the answers that may arise. As the Sufi sage Hafiz insightfully penned, God is like a mirror that merely reflects your gestures without mocking them, illuminating truth. Is cannabis a plant with spiritual promise? Certainly, but all potentials necessitate context, discipline, intention, and wisdom. Stripped of its ritual significance and commodified into a cultural artifact, it risks being just another diversion from life's profound truths. The essence of true spiritual exploration unfolds as a delicate art form. It invites us to embrace staying present rather than fleeing from the moment. It's not just about seeing lights, but about becoming that radiant light. When lighting that joint, what are you truly seeking? Is it genuine peace, space, or silence? If these qualities elude you within, perhaps the plant is only offering you a reflection, a mirror that reveals rather than transforms. If this journey into the spiritual dimensions of cannabis resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights that explore the intersections of nature, consciousness, and self-discovery. If you found value in what we discussed, give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Simply type, "I wish to awaken," to let us know you're part of this exploration. Also, even if you have already awakened, we would love to hear your experiences and insights. And don't stop here. Click on the next video on the screen to dive deeper into more enlightening conversations. Thank you for being part of our community.